Oh, I'm so happy to be here. And my name is Gina Gold. I am from Queens, New York. Thank you. I'll take that. And I have a story, and it starts out weird, it gets weirder. So both of my parents are black. They are from the South. They were, as far as I know, Baptist. So you're probably saying, what is she doing here? And I often ask myself the same thing because my mother raised me Jewish, but never mentioned that she was raising us Jewish. So she would speak to me and my brothers in Yiddish. And we celebrated Jewish holidays. And then she would always say, no matter what happened, get out there and think like a Jew. So I thought that all black people did this. I had no frame of reference. I thought that oy vey was a black expression. I was probably 10. I didn't know who Jesus was. I remember I had this best friend. She was a white Catholic girl, and she lived in my building, and one day she said to me, you know, we can't like the Jews because the Jews killed Jesus. And I said, oh my God, did Jesus live in the building? And I found out recently what was going on. And it was only because all these years I've been raised Jewish, my mother's pretending like she's not raising us Jewish. I decide to convert officially to Judaism, and then my mother says, oh boy, that's unusual. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. You need to come clean, that's just weird. And so it turns out that her mom died when she was young in the Bronx. She was taken in by a German Jew named Adele Lindemann, who raised her as a Jew, but my mom couldn't tell anybody, or she felt like she couldn't, so she just became a closeted Jew, pretending that she wasn't Jewish, raising us Jewish. So that's a little bit about my history. And when I decided to officially convert, someone had the nerve to say to me, oh, you're converting to Judaism? How are you going to feel about being persecuted? So I'm a storyteller, and it's a little different than comedy, and I have a storytelling series that I do at Berkeley once a month called TMI. And I do 10-minute true stories. And they have to be true and personal to you. So I'm going to tell you a little story about how desperately I wanted to be famous when I was a little kid. I just wanted it more than anything in the world. Part of it was because I lost the Little Miss America pageant when I was 5. And I just never recovered. I just couldn't take the loss. And I always thought that it was because I was black, because at that time, the only people that were winning were white girls, and they were white with blonde hair, like not an Asian, not a Jew, like it was always the whitest girl that won. And recently, I think this is like 40 years later, my dad said to me, you know, I don't know that you lost because you're black. I think you might have lost because you had no teeth. But I felt better. Racism wasn't involved. So I wanted to make it to Hollywood because I lost this pageant. And my parents sent me to Girl Scout camp. And it was in upstate New York in the Catskills. And they were doing this production of The Wizard of Oz. And I thought, this is my chance to finally be famous. I could be Dorothy in the camp Girl Scout production of The Wizard of Oz. Like, what could be bigger than that? there's 20 girls in my unit. We all wanted to be Dorothy, but I was desperate. Like, I would kill, and I mean murder. And there was a girl that I shared a tent with named Laura. I'll never forget this. And she wanted to be Dorothy too, and we practiced together. So the next day they had these auditions. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I can't sing. Like, at all. But I didn't feel like that should hold me back. I learned from watching TV that if you do stuff with feeling, and that maybe if I did some like head tossing, I would trick the judges into giving me the part of Dorothy. But they didn't fall for it. And I was devastated. I went into the woods, and I am scared to go off into the woods by myself. I went off into the woods in the dark, threw myself down on a rock, and cried. Couldn't take it. And then on top of it, I went back to my tent, and all I could see as I was approaching the tent was Laura smiling, and I knew that she got the part of Dorothy, and I had to pretend that I was happy for her. So when she left to go call her parents to tell them that she had gotten the part, I called a secret meeting. I got all 20 of the girls out in the woods, and I said, listen, all of you deserve to be Dorothy. It isn't fair that someone who doesn't have the talent and the skill that all of you have, do you think this is right? We've got to do something. This is a revolution. There are movements going on all across the country, but none so important as this one. So tonight at the dining hall, we're going to scream out, hell no, we won't go. So that night at the dining hall, sure enough, we're all in our little Girl Scout uniforms, and my unit starts screaming, hell no, we won't go, chanting. So the unit leader, furious, she pulls us aside and she said, I will call each and every one of your parents if you boycott this play. Who is the leader? And so I came to the front and I said, I'm the leader. And then the unit leader started to cry, which I thought was weird because she's like 20 and I'm 10. I was like, wow, I'm so powerful. But then all of the other girls were so afraid that their parents were going to be called that they decided to do the play. So I knew I had to come up with Plan B. So Plan B was I would try out for the part of the Scarecrow. But again, I can't sing. But this time I'm like, I'm gonna belt it out. Because when I was doing the part of Dorothy, I was like, somewhere over, and then I did a head toss. And that didn't work out in my favor. So I added a little more dancing, and I got the part of the Scarecrow. So the night of the play, the whole camp is there, everyone is watching, the play goes off with a big success. I was really good as the Scarecrow, even though it was killing me. And when it was time to take the final bow, Dorothy was supposed to go last and be in the spotlight. And then she was going to take the flowers and give them to the unit leader. So at the end, when she was about to go out, I pushed her to the side with my bow, and then I snatched the flowers and said, thank you so much for a lovely evening. And I know that the first Black Annie is coming out, I think, in January. And I just want to think that I kind of had something